Hey there, Eli here, and today for 3.19's version of the Consecrated Path Chieftan Totems Guide, I want to take a different tact. I already have a guide out there from Sentinel League for this build. You can go and watch that video. I'll have a link down below. But for this guide, this is more of an update, so I want to go over the items. A lot of them are similar. We do have some new additions, though, that are a little different from last league. We're also missing the boots, so we did lose roughly 30% of our damage output. But don't worry, it's still plenty viable, it still crushes content, and I'm going to show you that as we run through the Feared. But first, let's look at the gear changes and the gear additions. So, everything that's the same. We're going to still use the Lead Sprinkler, Crown of Eyes, a shield that has +1 max totems and a free suffix so that we can craft on chance to deal double damage while focused. This is pretty important. It's a pretty big damage boost for when you want it, which can be very critical for killing big bosses when you need to. You'll note this extra mod here, gain an endurance frenzy or power charge when you block. This is actually really important in this league because it's kind of the stat stacker league with the rares. And let's get to that in just a second. The boots are going to be the same Alberons with the same enchant because we never crit as our character, so we always get 100%, 120% increased crit chance. Our belt is still the same. We want tons of strength and we want % increased attributes. And so then we're going to get our 20% extra bonus on that to just give us tons and tons of strength. Fantastic. Gloves are also going to be the same. We're going for damage per strength. And I have flat damage to attacks just because I didn't have enough currency on hand to roll the attack speed. Ideally, we do want increased attack speed here. So we have strength on the gloves, flat damage, either fizz or fire is fine, plus flat life, plus a resist that you need in order to solve your max resists, and then craft on or have already put on attack speed. These are kind of perfect gloves. We want higher rolls, but these are pretty good. Now, to what's really new in this league are the mirrored rings. Obviously, this is Stat Stacker League because we get massive amounts of attributes on our rings and amulets. As you can see here, it solves elemental resistances. We don't super care about our max mana pool because most of it is taken up anyway by reservations, and we want as much flat strength as possible. So this is one of our rings, 131 strength. Another one here is 148 strength. And for our amulet, same idea. Ideally, you do want to get something that has plus all attributes because this build usually uses Astramentus in order to solve its attribute requirements, which are kind of high. We need 154 intellect for the Crown of Eyes, and if you are using, Veil Haste, then you need as much dexterity as you can really get out of these amulets and rings in order to get the max Veil Haste amount. I think, what is this? This is stuck at level 16. So at 143 dex, I can level it up once more. I don't, just in case gear switches around and I lose a little bit of dexterity. I don't have to go buy another Veil Haste, but you get the idea. Now, another big thing that changed is we have solved the timeless jewels. This has been cracked. So now we can search for timeless jewels that we want. And one of the notable mods for timeless jewels for Lethal Pride is +% strength. And as you can see here, we have decided to use one of our precious jewel slots for Lethal Pride in order to make these have 5% increased strength, 5% increased strength, and this guy up here has flat 20. This is second best. You can get rolls that have 5% on each one, and that is ideal. This is still pretty good. If we go over to our POB, let's see if this is, let's go to the other one. This is our current one here. And so this jewel by itself, if we were to take this off, we can look at our full DPS down here, 27.5. And if we take that off, we drop 3.5 million DPS. That's pretty good. We like that. That's a solid amount of damage. It also gives us a bunch more strength. So if we look at our total strength here, 20, 21, and we say none, that drops us down about 200 hit points. It also lowers our chance to block by, should be 4%, right? 4%? Yeah. So it gives us 4% chance to block for 200 strength because of our chest armor, right? because of the Iron Fortress. Every 50 strength we get is 1% chance to block. So anything we can do to max out our strength not only gives us damage, and lots of it, it also gives us more hit point pool, and it also increases our block chance, which is really helpful because this build is decent at dealing with physical melee attacks, physical attacks. It really sucks at dealing with spells. So anything we can do to take care of the physical attack aspect is fantastic. So that's the new part there. And we also have one more piece that's new in the passive tree. We have this large cluster jewel. Because it's Stat Stacker League and we can push the amount of strength that we have to new heights, I went with a 12 passive large cluster that just has strength and elemental resistance. In a perfect world, this is plus 5 strength, plus 35% increased effect of small nodes, plus 3 all elemental resistances, and basically anything else. Maybe dexterity, all attributes, if that's even possible. I'm not sure that it is. Regardless, if you get those first 3, it's an incredible jewel. It'll probably cost you 15 divinations. And by divinations, of course, I mean divines, whatever. Okay, let's take a look at the POBs real quick. This is our current build right now that you're looking on screen, okay? What we do here is we are saying that we have 1 normal war chief up, we have 2 consecrated path totems, and by default, because we have multi-totems linked with our ancestral protectors, we have 2 protector totems. So we have 5 totems total. This is our general mapping, bossing setup, is our 2-1-2 setup. And with that, with our configuration, I'm saying that it's a Guardian Pinnacle boss. They're at close range because we want our totems all clustered on them. They are ignited. I say burning, that doesn't actually matter. They're covered in ash because of our ascendancy point. They are on consecrated ground. We're assuming kind of max damage potential here. We are focused, and we have summoned a totem recently. This is almost always true, as we are generally resummoning our totems quite a bit. So, with all that down, 27.5 million DPS. That's pretty good. If we throw on the Veil Ancestral War Chief, you can see we gain about, 6.5 million DPS for 33.9. Pretty good. Very respectable, deals plenty of damage, even though in the last league with our insane boots that had additional flat damage per 10 strength, completely insane. With our normal 2-1-2 setup on that build, we had 38.8 million DPS. With our, this one's a little bit different, build is at the bottom. We throw this on, we had 47.8 million DPS. It was pretty insane, but those boots were pretty insane. So, did we lose a lot of damage? Yeah, a fair bit. We currently also don't have our Forbidden Flesh for Aspect of Carnage on our current league, on Kalandra League version. So that's 40% more damage. Effectively, it comes out to about 30% more because we lose 2 jewel slots. So it's effectively around 30% more damage. Still pretty significant. We don't have that in Kalandra, so even without all of that, we still have very respectable damage on this build. Now, with all that said, that's all the new stuff. The playstyle is the same. What I want to do here is, while I'm talking about it, we're just going to go through and we're going to do the feared. All right? And I'm going to show you in real time, while I'm talking, no edits, how this build works, how it plays, and what it can do against legitimate endgame content. When you think about endgame, this is what most people are thinking about, right? And we're going to pick a direction that Shaper might go, and we're going to hope that he goes there. And instead he went up here, so we'll resummon our totems. And we already phased him, right? That was pretty quick. We're going to dodge around the balls, we're going to dodge around. We've phased the Elder, so he's going to summon totem, or the summoning things. We have to watch out for our Super Beam. Wait for the circle to go away, perfect. And make sure we resummon our totems here. I'm going to drop down all of our flasks to try and help our totems stay up. Uber Elder, Shaper can kill our totems. Those balls hurt. They essentially one-shot us. If we get hit, we're about to get slammed. And now we have 2 Shapers up at the moment. We're slowed, so let's try to... Oh, there's 3 Shapers up. Never mind. And we're going to focus for some extra double damage. We're going to try to phase him. We did. Perfect. So if you're not familiar with the fight, it's essentially, what, 3 phases? You phase the Elder and Shaper the first time, and you get the big portals that summon mobs. And the Shaper will keep firing at you. In the second phase here, we have the Shaper just summoning little baby mobs that really aren't that powerful, and the Elder is attacking you. And then they'll come out of their invincibility phase right now when he does that, the big Shaper beam. Wow, we didn't die from that. That's incredible. We're gonna maybe die here. I'm not playing with sound so that I can just feel more comfortable doing this video. But what was I saying? So we phase him again. He comes out of his phase when he does that, big penis beam thing there. And now we're on this phase again with the big portals, and we're just going to run around while Shaper tries to attack us. And it's pretty easy as long as you keep the one that's attacking you within your sight. It's pretty easy to dodge their attacks, right? It's again, it's Pathofexile, run around in circles, and here's the final phase. We're going to pop everything here. We need our speedy totems down. We should have killed Shaper. Did we kill Shaper? Yeah, okay. We were just waiting for him to finish his animation. So we pop down 2 of our Veil Ancestral totems and make sure we check our upper left here to make sure our Protector totem's down and one of our Consecrated Path totems are down. Didn't get a dual drop. Didn't really expect one. Had pretty crappy luck. And so that's Uber Elder. It's pretty straightforward. Run around in circles, avoid the balls, just like in real life. Now we'll go hit, I suppose, Uber Atziri, since we need to get her too. This is an old zone. This place used to be amazing. But now we're kind of, it can kill you, all these chaos damages. We don't have chaos resist, as you can see on this build. There's really just not any room for it. And so this build does not do well with chaos damage. Keep that in mind. For those of you who are like, oh, I love doing Uber Cirrus. Not on this build. No, you do not. It's not going to happen. Now we have a nice little breather moment. We can sit and wait. This build, just like the last few leagues, as a starter, is incredible. Even in this one. Start as Shield Crush. I have all of that notated out in the POB. That'll be linked below on how to level up with Shield Crush. Very easy. Setting up bosses. This is just with our curse on. We're not even trying. We're not even trying. And it's just deleted. Right? We still have all of our Veil skills. We have Veil Haste. We have Focus. Focus you can kind of just pop whenever you feel like it, honestly. Doesn't really matter. At least for general mapping. Things are going to get deleted all the time. Second area, we're going to go up here. We'll pop all of our flasks. And easy enough. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. And I'm actually going to go inside. We're going to go around. Didn't really like what I was looking at up there, so go around. And keep in mind when we have our Ancestral Protectors down, which is the green ones there, the teal ones, our attack speed is super high because it gives a huge bonus to attack speed, which means our Leap Slam is super fast. So keep that in mind when you're trying to bounce around. And this one, we're just looking for the one holding the mirror. It's not there, so we can leave the totems up. And we'll resummon in between every phase and recast our curse. Try to phase her. And I just guess one of the 4 locations, and if she happens to be holding a mirror, then I'll just resummon. Ouch, 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 right? Sometimes they hit you. Ooh, oh boy. Like I said, spell damage is not this one's friend. Doesn't do well with it. And we'll phase again, and we'll pop everything here. And we'll get Victorious Fate, another Feared. Perfect, so that's Atziri down. Not too bad, right? Deathless so far. We'll hop into Chayula. Grab him real quick. And the final one will be Cortex. Cortex can be a little iffy, depending on what modifiers you get. It can get some pretty janky modifiers. Less damage taken, increased damage, all sorts of weird stuff. So in this Chayula's Breachstone, we're just staying ahead of it, resummoning our totems ahead of the breach zone. And it just kind of takes care of itself. You can use all of your flasks, basically whenever you want. All you really have to avoid here is that big purple, those big purple attacks, big chaos beams. Just don't stand them, just jump around, you know, avoid them, and you do fine. You notice here we're getting power charges. This is pretty great for this version of the build because we have such a high block chance that, you know, and this isn't the highest amount of strength we can get. We can definitely push into 2200, maybe higher. And so with that comes more block chance, and with this version of the shield, we are getting charges which do add a significant amount of damage. Power charges and frenzy charges both add a lot of damage to this build. Also, while I'm thinking about it, we do use Immortal Call on cast when damage taken with increased duration. And if you have endurance charges, as many of you probably know, the duration of that is increased. That was 2 seconds. If you have 3 endurance charges, that's, what, 6 seconds, I think, of Immortal Call? That's pretty insane. So, all in all, what I'm trying to say is this build, this version of the build in this league is way tankier than it was in Sentinel. Sentinel did a buttload more damage, but this one can definitely take a hit. It can stand in a lot of weird stuff. Grab these reach rings as I'm trying to collect. And we'll just keep moving in here. Get our portal down. And we'll cast all of our stuff. Blessing of Chayula is really common. Skin of the Loyal is also really common. It's a good way to defray the cost if you're doing feared runs. And we'll do our Cortex, which is our last one here. As you can see in the lower left, the feared needs Cortex. Now this one we do want to be a little bit careful. Okay? They can be very hurtful. They can be very mean in here, as you can see, when they hit. So we want to get our totems down and we want to essentially run away. Right? We're scared of these mobs. Anything that does lots of hits like that, lots and lots of hits at once, the build does not do well with. So I'm going to stop talking for a moment and actually pay attention to this so that we don't die too much. Fortunately, the boss shouldn't really be a problem. We'll pick that up. Why not? We'll use our focus. We'll try to get our totems up there so they can kind of run ahead and clear for us. Right? As soon as you essentially see enemies on screen, get your totems up there and kind of just back up. Your totems up, back up. That's kind of how we deal with Cortex. If you want to, I guess they're on ground effects, that's unfortunate. I was about to say, if you want to, you can throw on Veil Molten Shell. And I guess I should probably throw down a portal up here. I mean, this is not the most uncommon, I would say, for us to die a couple times on the Cortex on the way up. Really all depends on the mods, and I have not looked at what the mods are. Let's put down some things. Let our totems kind of do their thing up here. Want to watch out for that degen ground. We're not good at dealing with degen ground either, even though we are degens. And we're at the portal. Let's clear it out a little bit. Oh yeah, I also want to note, we're not using any awakened gems at all. Alright, so we're at the boss. This is pretty straightforward. For the first boss, we're not going to use our focus on this little construct here. Yep, so we don't have there's not a less damage taken mod. But on this guy, we are going to use our focus. can see, chunk him down pretty well, excuse me. And on this one, we're going to use all of our flasks, and we're just gonna, run around in circles, as we do to avoid things in PoE, no different. We'll throw down our flask, we'll get focused. We can die on this phase. It depends on kind of what comes out. But now that the permafrost ground is not nearly as insane, we're not nearly as scared of this phase. Because, all the rare mobs would throw out their freezing ground, their creeping frost ground, and it would suck. Again, we're going to rinse and repeat here. We're not going to use our focus. And on this final phase, we are going to just bust everything, burst them down. And that's Cortex. Fairly easy. It's really the map is harder than the boss, by far, on this. Now we're going to hope to get another Bottle of Faith. That'd be pretty cool. I don't think we're going to get it. Unlikely. And we didn't. And we're going to leave. Alright, and I do have a Feared all queued up. What we're looking for in the Feared with this build, because we're not super survivable, we want to find that balance of reward versus risk, right? And so what I do is I will roll this with Alteration Orbs until I get 2 mods like Steel Power Charge or Frenzy or Endurance on hit. Have a chance to cause elemental ailments, because we don't really care about ailments on this build. We have all that solved. Monsters Poison on hit. Again, we don't really care. Our totems are leeching for us. Any amount of poison that these bosses can put on us, we're going to heal through with leech. So I'm not too worried about it. And I suppose real quick, the pantheons that I suggest for this build is Brine King and Aberath, and make sure that you get the additional mods here for Cannot Be Frozen and Reduced Effective Chill. The main one of being stunned, unfortunately it's useless, we don't care because we have Unwavering Stance, but for Aberath, less duration of Ignite by 60%, so we don't really care about Ignite, so we don't need a flask for it to deal with it. And unaffected by Burning Ground. Burning Ground in later areas can be exceptionally powerful. So being able to not care about that is actually a big deal. So we're going to roll our Feared to have a nice 40-ish% quantity because we are using Height of Hubris to double the effects. And so this 39% is going to be, 78% quantity, which should guarantee us at least a full Maven Writ, and oftentimes it'll be a Maven Writ plus a Splinter. So that helps us recoup some costs in case it's just a total dud. Now again, I'm going to focus a little bit on this fight, because this is not, with the damage levels that we have, I'll put it this way, it's not on just brainless mode. You do have to pay attention, and I'll show you how to do that. All right. I'm going to go around at first. I'm going to find out where the bosses are, because there's bosses we care about more than others. And if you haven't seen my video on the Feared, shameless plug for that, go and check that out. Chayula is down here, Atziri's over here. We need to kill these guys. If they spawn first, they must die. Chayula, we have bad chaos resist, and Atziri, both of these enemies, especially if they get duplicated by the Maven, which they can be, can deny a ton of space in the arena. And we have no spell block, we have no way to deal with spells. Both of these guys are throwing out tons and tons of AoE destruction. Yeah, all these bosses are to a certain degree, but those two, if they're allowed to just hang out and get duplicates made of them, good luck. And who knows, maybe we'll see that here, maybe I'll screw up. I'm actually going to put on my headphones so that I can hear as well, just to give myself a little bit more advantage. And let's see. Second tier, Shaper's down there. Elder is a good one to kill too. So we'll see. We can see who's going to spawn first. Watch for the blue wavy lines and where they go. That tells us where they're going to be. Okay, so we know down here is one, Chayula. There we go, Chayula is dead. That's a great start. But we want to make sure We are watching for Atziri's entry into the fray. There she is. Okay. I'm gonna throw down a Veil Warchief Totem. Ah, I walked into it, but I think we got Atziri. I think we got Shaper, Atziri, and Chayula. I'm pretty sure, right? So now we have Cortex, who we care very much about. And it's more important to move than it is to place totems. That's really critical. And make sure that you... Oh boy, we have a lot of slams going on. Oh, we killed them. Killed them all. Great, because they were standing next to each other, so that was actually really great for us. That was really convenient. That's really how you win that fight. Kill Atziri and Chayula first, if at all possible. And if, like that one, Chayula and Elder, or Shaper came out, and you should be able to kill the first one that you choose pretty quickly, because you can preload all of that damage and get focus up immediately, and they're sitting at max DPS in our consecrated ground with all of our flask bonuses up. They die pretty quick. Use that extra time to kill that second minion, or mob, whoever it is. In that case, it was the Shaper. But keep an eye out for the other one. You don't want that shoe to drop and you not to be paying attention to it, okay? So, that was really beneficial. Other than that, the big one is always be moving. It is not nearly as important for you to have totems down than it is to be moving. Okay, never summon all your totems all at once, because then you're sitting there for summon, summon, summon. That's like a full second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. You're going to die in 2 seconds time in Feared, trust me. So, I'm going to pick all this stuff up, whatever, and we'll cut over to afterwards. So, besides the fact that our Feared run was essentially a giant waste of money, I hope this video gave you a good idea as to what's changed in this build for this league and what it's capable of in endgame content. Be on the lookout for my next video where I'm going to be talking about the Kalandra League as a whole, my thoughts on where grinding gear is in terms of the state of the game, and where they can improve and what they're doing well. If you have thoughts or concerns about the build, reactions, let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, if you like what I'm putting out here, think about liking the video, think about subscribing for more content. That helps me a lot. And until next time, this is Eli signing off.